Hey folks, I'm back in the same spot. This is my new spot. I hope I don't get kicked out today or any other day. I'm at the Rosedale Cemetery in Los Angeles, and I really like to record here. I've been trying to find an outdoor space that would be good to record, and this is my spot for now, underneath this tree. Sorry for the background noise. Maybe it provides, some sort of aesthetically pleasing ambience. Maybe it just provides distraction. We'll see how it goes. So with these videos right now, I'm planning to just kind of talk about a certain topic that I'm exploring. For each video, I want to kind of informally dive into a certain topic that I am looking into for the book that I'm writing, called The One, the All, and the Mystery. And that book is going to be exploring a lot of different spiritual traditions, as I mentioned in my last video. And if you're interested in which spiritual traditions I am going to be diving into for the book, you should check out the last video, which is called The One, the All, and the Mystery. Recently, I've been researching and reflecting on the two forms of theism called Pantheism and Panentheism. Of course, we have classical theism, classical belief in God. We have atheism. We have monotheism, believing in one God. Polytheism, believing in multiple gods. A bunch of different kinds of theism. For several years, I've been drawn to the notion of pantheism, and just in the last year, I think I realized that there was a thing called panentheism. It's really a awkward word to say and to even write, panentheism. But anyways, apparently panentheism, kind of emerged in the 1800s as a way to kind of integrate both pantheism and theism together into some sort of hybrid, I guess. So, let me just tell you what pantheism is, generally. Pantheism is the belief, I guess you could say. Pantheism is the belief that the universe is God, basically. Pantheism is the belief that the universe itself is God. Now, that's interesting. I've been drawn to non-dualism for a long time, and non-dualism is similar, that there's everything is one organism. There's nothing separate. So I like the idea that God is not separate from the universe or from reality. That speaks to me, and that's what I like about pantheism. But to say that the universe equals God somehow feels not quite resonant to me. Now, I will say, obviously, we're talking about like the biggest questions ever. And I am definitely not somebody who will ever, I don't think, claim to know the capital T truth answers to these questions. I love to think about them. I love to read about them, explore them. But I will always admit that I'm just coming from my own subjective experience and my own subjective feelings about these topics. The ones, and my conclusions, my tentative conclusions will always just be tentative, and they'll always just be based on what makes the most sense to me. So I do like the idea that God is not separate. for sure. And I personally like to think of pantheism, like my flavor of pantheism would be, that makes more sense to me, that seems more potentially accurate, is not that the universe is God, but that reality itself is God. That's cool. That's exciting to me. Because reality, I think of reality as, on one level, anything that we can experience. So therefore our thoughts and even our imaginations, to me that's reality, because it's phenomena that we can experience. Dreams even, that's reality in the sense in my kind of own unique, I guess, definition of reality is like anything that exists, I guess. Anything that exists, even non-physically, like our thoughts and stuff. And you'll hear some people say about pantheism, like, that God is the totality of all possible worlds. That's cool. I like that. Because then it really widens the scope. It's like, instead of thinking of God as reality or God as the universe in a really narrow way, it's like God is the totality of all possible universes. So that's interesting. But on a subjective experiential level, to consider that the reality that our experience of reality, our experience of reality is always in the present moment. Our experience of reality can never not be in the present moment. And so that's another level of it to me, of God is reality. That would be, God is the reality that we experience in the present moment at any given time. And some people will say, well, why say reality is God or the universe is God? Why not just say the universe is the universe and reality is reality? Why do you have to put the God word on there? I understand that. But I think that it's more, since existence itself is such a mystery, and to me, basically a miracle. Yeah, existence itself is a mystery and a miracle. And because of that, that's what leads me to think about God. Like, whatever that might mean, the ultimate, the absolute in some way. The mystery and the miracle of existence lead me to think about it that way. So instead of saying reality is reality and saying reality is God, that just puts the connotation of like reality is sacred, and it puts, if we see reality, if we see our direct experience of reality in the present moment as God, then we look deeper into the present moment, and we potentially are more present and engage with the present more, because we are seeing that as divine. So there's a lot of cool potential there. So my personal favorite angle on pantheism is reality is God. Cool. Panentheism is the belief that God, that the universe is in God. The universe is in God. That's interesting. Generally, panentheism is that God is both transcendent and immanent in reality. Transcendent means beyond, basically. You know what transcendent means, but like in this case, for God to be transcendent of reality, like that means that God somehow is beyond reality. And then if God is immanent in reality, that means God is always present in reality, always inherent in reality. Now, even though the idea that God is transcendent can lead some people to say that God is in some ways separate from reality, I don't like that connotation. But I think that Panentheism, to say that God both transcends and is immanent in reality, the way that that speaks to me is that God is never just one thing. Like, we can't ever ultimately name God. It's like in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. You know, it's like God can never ultimately be named in any final way, or defined, or contained, or limited to, you know? So God always transcends our naming. God transcends our conceptions. God transcends, you know, the boxes that we try to put God into. And so in that way, God is transcendent and immanent, of course, you know. Like Pantheism says that God is immanent, and Panentheism said that God is both transcendent and immanent. So immanent meaning that God is in reality and can never not be in reality. And you know, there's been a lot of interesting thinkers throughout history. Pantheism goes farther back than Panentheism, and you have people like Spinoza and Giordano Bruno, who was actually killed for his writings. They were considered pantheists. They have some interesting things to say about that. Some people consider Ralph Waldo Emerson a pantheist. There's some people consider Einstein a pantheist. And pantheism, out of the theisms that are not atheism, is said to be the most aligned with science. So there are some scientists who consider themselves pantheist. That's cool. So it's got some potential, you know. It's got a lot of potential. I think it's really exciting. Alan Watts considered himself a pantheist. You know, you could, depending on the angle you're looking at it through, you could say that Buddhism often is a form of pantheism, even though they don't, I mean, I guess not really, because they don't use the word God and stuff usually. But it's a lot to consider, and it's something I've been trying to figure out for myself, whether I feel like I'm more aligned with pantheism or panentheism. I don't think I'm going to take a side at this point, and as I expressed in this video, I kind of have my own, you know, the personal ways that I resonate with both. For pantheism, I resonate most with the idea that reality is God, both the reality of all possible worlds, as well as reality, the only, you know, way we experience reality is through our direct experience in the present moment, and that can be seen as God. And then my own personal way to resonate most with panentheism is that God is immanent, of course, but God also transcends all of the names and categories and ideas and images and religions that we place upon God. But in my mind, God is not separate from reality and can never be separate from reality. So I hope that was interesting for you. I hope that gave you something to think about. And until next time, peace.